This is a demonstration of the diagonal basting stitch. It is done on piece number 2 of your sampler. I'm right-handed. I'm sewing from right to left. To secure the thread, start with the anchor stitch. The diagonal basting stitch has a different motion. The needle is passed perpendicularly between the two guidelines, sewing at 3/4 inch increments to the end of the fabric. To start the sample on piece number 2, use a single strand of thread, no knot. If it helps, give yourself guidelines. Mark a dot every 3/4 inch. I like to use the Friction pen. Make an anchor stitch. Pass the needle in and out between the guidelines. Hold the tail of the thread so that it doesn't pull through. Repeat the stitch on top of itself. Move forward, repeating the stitch until the end of the fabric is reached. Here you can see the diagonal stitches forming. On the reverse side, a vertical stitch is produced. Be sure and check for knots. Lock the sewing with your new friend, the anchor stitch. Cut the tail at 3 inches, and you have finished this exercise. This is a demonstration of the diagonal basting stitch used to prep the hems on the sampler. Use a single strand of thread, no knot. When basting hems, I like a color that won't call attention to itself, but something I could still see. On muslin, I use pink or light blue. Take your pinned sample. You can experiment with holding your fabric in different positions. Start with the anchor stitch. Continue with the diagonal basting stitch until you have reached the end of your hem. Remember, you are taking a prick every 3/4 inch until you reach the end of the fabric. Be sure to check the back to make sure you haven't made any blurbs or knots. Finish with an anchor stitch. Remove the pins and cut the tail at 3 inches.